Hey guys, Omar here with another video, and this week we're going to be going through how to fix bad battery life. So our constant need to be given information at a click of an app can sometimes cause manufacturers and app makers to make these apps where they're running in the background. And the problem with that is that, it's good that they're giving us information very quickly and up to date and everything, but they use a lot of battery if you are not using that information every day. So it can mean that this app, whatever the app, it could be Instagram, Facebook, it doesn't have to be social media, it could be anything, and it could run in the background. So obviously whenever you tap the app, it gives you the up-to-date information on whatever your feed is, all the people that have posted since you last had a look. And then some people don't use these apps regularly enough for that to be of use to them. So what happens is this app, it uses battery all day, every day, and it affects your battery life. You could be saving that battery life if you just turn off the app or turn off the functionality where it uses, it sits in the background, and that portion of battery that it's using could be used elsewhere, or at least could enable your phone to last all day if it's not doing so already. Now you can do things like use power saving mode. So for example, if I was going to commute from work to another place of work, and I was going to spend a couple of hours on the train, I would essentially put my phone on power saving mode, where I'll still be able to use the the music player if I'm going to listen to music, but I would be saving the maximum amount of power that I can possibly, that the phone will allow me to save during that 2-hour train ride. And then obviously when I get off the train, I would then turn the power saving mode off, which would mean that the phone then resumes the state that it was before. So I get all the updates for the apps, things like that. Now the problem with power saving mode is that you're not actually solving the problem of fixing your bad battery life. All you're doing is saving power for a short amount of time. It can be hours, it can be even days, but at the end of the day, the battery, when you turn power saving mode off, the battery will still start to drain, and the apps in the background will still start to use the battery. So one of the things that you can do is find the battery intensive apps that are draining all your battery. Now these are apps that run in the background, you may not use them, basically they're just there. So when you click the app icon, the app comes up on the screen with the latest information, and you may not know how to do that, so I'll go through that in a moment with you. So one of the things that you can do is uninstall any apps that you don't use. It may be a no-brainer, but we all have apps on our phones that we don't tend to use. We maybe use once or twice and then we forget about them, but they do appear in the background and they do periodically update as well. So if it's not there, it's not updating, the phone's using less battery, and that can help as well. I would also look at what the manufacturer of the phone has in terms of background apps where your phone is off but they're still running on the screen. So for example, on the S9 and generally the Galaxy devices, Samsung has an always on display, which basically means that the display is always showing information of some sort, even though you may turn it off. So for example, this could be a clock face, it could be the battery indicator to tell you how much battery is left. If you've got any messages, it gives you icons and things like that. So that will actually use battery in the background to update those features. So for example, a clock, if you have a clock face with a ticking hand, that will update periodically and use battery. If you have notifications for example, email, text messages, it will always check if there's an email and that uses battery. So that could also have a effect on your battery life as well. So let's go over and have a look at what you can do to reduce your battery and how to check on what apps use the most battery. Before I forget, do subscribe if you haven't already done so, and also hit the bell icon below to be notified of when I post videos. But now, back to how to save your battery. Okay, so power saving mode is essentially here from the drop down menu, and essentially when you select it, it will basically give you some options so you can maximize it as much as you can. For example, it's saying here extend your battery life to 32 hours and 51 minutes. by applying the settings below. So as you change the settings, that obviously will change, and you can basically restrict the background network usage, always on display like I mentioned before. The CPU limiter, so your phone won't be as quick as what it is now. Obviously the brightness, decreasing the brightness by 10%, and screen resolution as well. So if I apply all these, it will extend it by 22 hours and 15 minutes, which will give me a total of 32. So basically that's one option. Obviously you're not fixing the bad battery life with that. You're essentially just saving the battery. So but that is a good to know thing as well. The other thing is, now to find your battery intensive apps, you essentially go down into the settings menu. Device maintenance is where you need to be, so you'll go through and you'll try to optimize and all that kind of stuff. Hit the battery icon there, and then it will give you the apps that use, you know, a certain amount of battery, and you can obviously hit the save power button and stop the apps from using battery while you're not using them, right? So there's this option as well. And obviously you can go through and you can look at the unmonitored apps. So these are certain apps here, and also you can look at always sleeping apps. So these are obviously apps that run in the background, don't receive well, they won't run in the background, they don't receive any updates or anything like that. So keep that in mind. Now what you can do with this is that you can actually go into the menu above, go into advanced settings. Then when you get to this menu here, you can actually have a look. If you go into the notification settings, and if you put this on battery draining app, it will actually notify you of any apps that are excessively draining the battery, or unstable apps as well. So if you go into battery usage, it will give you in like a graph form of how fast your battery is being drained. Obviously it's not on charge, so it gives you an idea based on what it's using right now, how long your battery will last. Obviously if you start to use it a lot more, this will probably go down that route instead of over here. But what it does is it gives you an idea of how battery is being used currently. So for example, 15% of my battery is used on the screen, 2% on an Android system, which obviously you can't really change that much. Device idle, I mean screen, you can reduce the brightness, things like that. Advanced system driver, things like that, you won't be able to change. And other apps should be down here as well. So if you've got certain apps here that have been using a lot of battery, then you can go within those apps and actually turn them off where they're not running in the background, and you save so much battery doing that. Now still within the device menu, you can go into storage to uninstall certain applications that you don't use anymore. So if you're wondering, oh, which one did I use last or whatever, which ones don't I use anymore, you can go into applications there, and then it will categorize certain applications. So rarely used are these ones. So you can have a look at these, you know, occasionally used are these ones here. So you can have a look at these, pick and choose as and when. So for example, Jetpack Joyride, I don't really play that anymore, but you can you know you can have a look at how it uses battery through there, and so he hasn't used any battery since this device was fully charged. Let's have a look at something else, Truecaller. So this shows you 0 since the last full charge. So you can see it really breaks down how much battery is used. I mean, if you're having second thoughts about an application that you think is using an excessive amount of battery, you can go into the actual application, hit the battery, and it will show you how much battery is used in time, see, and the actual amount of battery usage. So it's not optimized, but you can do that as well. Okay guys, so that was just a quick look at how to fix bad battery on the S9. It doesn't have to be an S9. These processes and the information that I've shown you today can be applied to tablets and laptops as well, and also other brands of phones. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.